Good afternoon. We are now here at the Rooms, which is actually a multi-purpose building built here in St. John's 20 years ago. So after 2005, the city and province decided to move the archives of the province here for Newfoundland. It also houses the art gallery of the province as well. And on top of that, it also serves as a hub for, preserving and showcasing some of the history of the province through the museum. So let's go inside and take a look. This place apparently has 4 floors, so we're going to start at the top, which is the art gallery. So we're here at the museum section of the Rooms, which I mentioned earlier has the art gallery here, the National Archives, and the Museum of the province. Newfoundland's history goes back thousands of years. The Vikings are believed to have settled here back around 1000 AD for a short period of time up in the far north of the province. And since then, St. John's is one of the oldest capitals in North America, and some of the other places we're going to go to today are going to showcase that as well. But for now, let's continue a walk around the museum here and see the other artifacts that they have in place. So the fishing and oil discovery in this province ultimately made it one of the most economically strong parts of North America for many, many years. The fishing and whaling here goes back centuries, and oil discovery, while more recent, has been a huge boon to the province as well. But prior to that, it's worth noting that indigenous groups have been on Newfoundland for thousands of years, long before anybody else ever came along. Here you can see the history of the navigation from the original compasses and octants that were used while on board ships to be able to find your way home through telescopes, and then ultimately into things like GPS and sat phones and those types of things. Here we have some examples of some of the clothing from some of the indigenous groups like the Inuit and the Mi'kmaq that were local to the area for thousands of years. An example of some of the winter clothing that would be manufactured. So it's important to recognize that during World War I, Newfoundland was still its own independent country. It did not join Canada until 1949. So the call for recruits and to join the efforts in the First World War was seen as a very noble deed in Newfoundland. And for the population of the province at the time, they went all out. You can see here some of the examples of the enlistment numbers for the First World War. While most of the men went overseas to fight, the women stayed home and did what they could to support in efforts as well, including preparing uniforms and knitting socks, knitting hats, keeping the front lines supplied with whatever was needed by the military at the time. So that was just a quick sample of what's in the rooms. What an amazing place, really, between the art gallery and the museum. And there's a whole section on the archives I hadn't even touched in there today. It was about $12 to get into the entire building today. It gets you access to the museum, to the art gallery, to the everything, archives, the whole bit. Highly recommend it if you're coming to St. John's to come check it out, especially if it's kind of a not so great day out weather-wise. There's lots of activities inside for kids and stuff too, so great place. If you're going to do the sightseeing in St. John's, I would recommend starting here for one reason only. It is at the top of the hill. Most of the other things we're going to look at today actually continue on downhill from here. So it's nice to start at the top and work your way down. If you're not familiar with St. John's, it is very hilly. And if you're not prepared for that, you're in for a rude awakening. I discovered that the last time I was here, and even though I remember fondly how just hilly it was, I still wasn't prepared for it this time. So keep that in mind if you are coming. So let's continue on with our little trek down here through downtown St. John's. A few more sites I want to check out today and show to you, one of which we're coming up to here in another minute or two. So this is the Basilica of St. John the Baptist. This was built in the mid-1800s, 1840s to 1850s. Took almost 15 years from start to full completion, and is still, to this day, the second largest church in all of Canada. So one of the things in St. John's that it is most famous for is what's called Jellybean Row. Now, at first thought, you would think that Jellybean Row is probably just a street. It's become an entire fixture of the downtown St. John's area. A couple different theories of how this started. One is that a fisherman started this as a way to identify his home when he's out on the waters against the very typically gray background here in St. John's. The other, I think, official story is that through a revitalization project back in the 1970s, there was an encouraged effort to paint everyone's homes with bright colors and a variety of colors, everything you can imagine. So we're going to take a little walk through here and show some of the different houses. This is actually a really good corner to start from because you can see it goes all the way down to the bottom of the hill, and we're going to head this way. The last couple times I've been to St. John's, I haven't really had a chance to do a lot of exploration. I was here for work, so our time was pretty limited. So I've been familiar with the Jellybean Row, if you will, but never actually taken a walk down the actual street where it all sort of started. So you can see it's not just one street, it's everywhere downtown, and it's amazing, and I love it, and it's so unique. So there we go, the famous Jellybean Row houses in St. John's, Newfoundland. As you can see, it's not just one street, it encompasses so much of the downtown area. It's such a wonderful thing to just kind of wander around and check out all the different colors and different styles of homes as well. It's great. It's well worth your time. So from here, we're going to head down to the waterfront. So here we are down on the St. John's waterfront. Just making my way down to this memorial. And if you're Canadian, you should recognize it instantly. And if you're not, then stick around for the story. And this is what's known as Mile Zero. And this is the beginning of the Terry Fox Marathon. So this Terry Fox statue has been here for a number of years now. It's in recognition of Terry Fox, who had cancer and had to have his right leg amputated. And then in 1980 decided to try and run across Canada to raise money for cancer research. So he was here. This is where it started. On April the 12th, 1980, Terry Fox came down here, put his foot in the water here at the waterfront, and off he began on his journey. Unfortunately, only a few months later in Ontario, Terry Fox had to abandon his Marathon of Hope due to a return of the cancer. And so since 1980, after he did not complete his marathon and later passed away, the Terry Fox Run has happened every year in Canada and now around the world in an effort to raise money for cancer research. In 2004, the Greatest Canadian TV series aired on CBC, where there was a poll taken, names were submitted, and then people were voted to decide on who was the greatest Canadian of all time. And Terry Fox ended up finishing second place. While down here on the waterfront, worth noting a more recent event that took place out of this harbor. It's actually just behind this fence where it was launched from. The OceanGate Titan RV sub that went down to Titanic tragically in 2023 was launched right here from this harbor. Cool street art here in St. John's. So we're just about to head down to Water Street in downtown St. John's, and it is the oldest main street in all of North America. Been here since the 1600s. So let's go have a look. So one of the nice things about Water Street downtown St. John's is it's a lot of local shops, privately owned, independent. Welcome to George Street, the party capital of Newfoundland and arguably all of Canada. Along this street you'll find dozens of bars, pubs, live music events, and even a stage on the street. Some places closing as late as 6 a.m. in the morning. Let's take a walk through, and it's not busy. I believe there's even some places here that are open 24 hours as well. As you can see, this time of the day it's extremely quiet here. But at nighttime, especially in the summer, this place is shoulder to shoulder with people all night long, every night of the week. So if you come to St. John's and you're looking for a party atmosphere and have a really good time, this is probably the place you want to come. Alright, so we're just here at the Harbourfront Park in St. John's, just wrapping up our little tour of the downtown area in St. John's, and I hope you really liked what you saw today. From here, I'm just going to go and see if I can find some dinner. It's getting late in the day, and breakfast was now a long time ago. And yeah, so that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this tour. There's so much more to see, obviously, here in St. John's than just what I showed you today. So please make sure to come and check it out yourself sometime. Shower. I am almost getting knocked over by this wind, which is impressive.